Podcast number 11 with Erin Carson in the house today. I'm pumped. Let's do this. 11, baby. All right. 5, 4, and Amy, my wife, she's like, don't do that. That's Joe Rogan's podcast thing. So I'm going to start in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to another edition of the Dig Deep Podcast. Today's recording is at one of the best and most prestigious gyms, not only in Boulder, but of the country. And I'm talking about Rally Sport. My pleasure to have legendary strength training coach Erin Carson as my guest today. Erin, she's not only this incredible coaches all these amazing triathlon and Olympic stars, but she also owns and operates Rally Sport. Erin, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you, Hugo.
Appreciate your time. It's a beautiful day. I was driving back from Fort Collins today, and gosh, it's incredible. I mean, we're so lucky. I mean,
I know you got a good view over there too.
Yeah, I know. Just to living in Colorado is just amazing. So beautiful day, perfect day for today's interview. So I mean, we're gonna talk a little about a lot of things today, like your journey, to becoming an elite basketball player, and also how how that evolved into coaching, but in all things training and endurance sports. But also, I'm so curious to talk more about your journey as an entrepreneur, successful entrepreneur, because now you lead one of the top most recognized gyms in the country and in the world as well. So that's pretty sweet. So, but yeah. I wanted to start or kick off this conversation by sharing something with our audience. I remember when I first met you, and it was basically, okay, I needed a membership in a gym. I've heard a lot about Rally Sport. Until then, I was, a member of another gym, not the big one. I mean, well,
It's all good.
But okay. Sign up, got an email from you just saying, hey, whenever you want to catch up, stop by and we'll talk. And I did that, and we had this amazing conversation. I remember my first reaction was, and I've heard this from other people as well, so it's how can I put this? You were like, your personality is just incredible. It's so magnetic. I remember when we first talked, and it was such a great conversation because you helped me to we went through the goals that I had by that time, and you also were so nice enough that you had me working with one of your personal trainers, Austin, which actually ended up becoming a good friend. He's one of my ambassadors with Dig Deep right now. And so that was like super nice from you. But I remember the end of that conversation thinking, I just want to give this woman a hug, because I feel that it's so easy for me to talk to you. And I don't know, like maybe I feel that I relate to that a little bit, because I like to, I don't know, like I thrive, from getting people's energy. So you're one of the very few people who have made an amazing first impression on me. So.
Thank you. I remember that meeting, and I remember just getting to know you even more, and just hearing what your vision was and how you wanted to rock physical performance, and it's such an honor to be part of that with anyone that expresses that desire to be better and to be the best version of themselves. I want to be part of that. Yeah.
And I remember you saying that, like when you said it's an honor to be part of your journey, is like, wow, because I don't know, it can be very easy to just focus on yourself or think about what's going to be my own benefit, as a gym owner or an operator, but you always focus on other people first. So, and I want to talk about, because this is one of the things that I still struggle with, like this idea of trying to balance being the best that you can be, not only as an entrepreneur, but also as an athlete. That's something that is, and I'm saying this because, like right now, I feel that I'm doing the best that I can do, or working the best, trying to be the best that I can be with Dig Deep. But like sports right now, for some reason, like it's not in the same level right now, for several reasons. Like I'm using all the resources that I have to Dig Deep and other things like that, but we can talk about that later. One of the things I'm curious about asking you is your personality. Again, people tend to be, attract. I mean, have you always been like this? Have you always been like, that personality that's very, very unique from you?
It's funny. It's one of those things that I, as a leader, now that I'm later in life, I want to be able to share with people as a skill how to lead other people, how to inspire other people, how to help other people with this deep, authentic caring from your heart. And I know that I was raised by an amazing salesman. My father had his own company, and he loved people.
Okay.
So that, I think that the authenticity starts with loving people. And when you get into a situation where you're trying to bring them into your community, whether it be through personal training or coaching or even just creating customers, like I know that in my next life in a business, I want to work at a fine hotel or just a hotel where I can help people enjoy their days. And there's so much from the hospitality industry, and hospitality itself is such a powerful word. Yeah. And, I'm blessed enough to be part of the ownership group of Rally Sport and have put that together. That's my team of investors. And, I know I'm in the fitness business, but I think that as just in the last couple months, I'm really realizing there's a difference between health and fitness. Some of the fittest people I know are not the healthiest people I know.
Okay. Yep.
But then a lot of those people fall into a different category of performance and high performance.
Okay.
And, we could even put you, just drawing it back to what, where you are right now. You're at a place in your life where you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And some people are young parents, and this time demand, it has to be balanced. Yeah. And I think that's the most powerful lesson is your health drives everything else.
Right.
And if you're not healthy and balanced, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be the fittest in your life. There's points in our lives where we have that opportunity to be a little more selfish and really take care of ourselves on a super high level. But there's points in our lives where we want to be performance people and we want to win. Yeah. We don't want to just be participants.
Right.
So I think just where I kind of came from was I've had some very good leadership in my life. Especially from a young age with my dad, and my mom's just a little quieter. So
it's so interesting because yes, like again, I think of when I think of you, I think of leadership. And when I was doing my research, for this interview, for some reason I thought you had a background in the army or something, because people that go to the army are like really well groomed on developing those leadership skills, and so. But of course, it makes sense that having the influence of your dad. It's so interesting. You talk about your dad being a salesman and him focusing on sales. And it's pretty obvious, right? And I say this because recently I've been thinking more about how can I differentiate myself from my competitors with Dig Deep, and been watching a lot of videos from like Jeff Bezos and other people, and again, it's kind of obvious, but like they always talk about customer, focusing on the customer, really. Like, don't fall in love with your product, fall in love with your customer. And so that's something that I'm thinking about more and more lately. But makes sense, I guess. So customer is definitely something that's key. Let me take a little break. All right, you're good, awesome. So, curious to learn more about. Your early days growing up in British Columbia, and curious to learn more about how do you get into basketball? Was that like your first sport? You excelled a lot to a point where you got scholarships, and we're gonna talk more about that. But walk us a little bit about.
I think as a young athlete and as a young person in British Columbia, we played hard. We played outside, we fished, we hunted. Yeah. I personally never really hunted, but I got no problem with hunting. And we rode motorcycles, we played sports, and I was definitely a little bit of a tomboy. I hung out with the boys, and I think when you're a female and you're hanging out with all the boys and they keep getting better and better and more athletic, then you kind of go with them or you get left behind. And I didn't want to get left behind, so I played hard and I played with the boys, and even through my high school basketball career, and I was identified quite young at the age of 14 as a pretty good Canadian basketball player. And so I was nurtured with different kinds of opportunities, a little bit of travel. And I liked all that. I wasn't afraid to stand apart. I wasn't afraid to be good. And I think when we talk about a lot of young female athletes specifically, they want to blend in and they don't want to upset their friends and that kind of stuff. Well, I didn't have a problem with that.
That's amazing.
So when all of them were going to parties and things like that, and I would stay in and rest so that the next day I could be good and be ready to practice and go to 2 different practices at 2 different teams. And I had parents that supported me unquestionably. And so all those opportunities and the things that started to really drive me, I love to win. I'm a good loser, and I get it. And losing, or when you don't win, you can learn so many lessons and you can start to explore strategy. And I think that's how that plays into business, because on a daily basis, you don't win the day in business. You know, your investors want to see your quarterly results. They want to see progress.
Correct.
They want to see a distinct strategy. And I can relate that in so many different aspects of life, from my personal relationships to my business, to the way that I train people and help them become the best versions of themselves. And definitely to the overreaching umbrella of my business, which it's important that it grow, and it's important that we provide more opportunities for more young coaches like myself.
Right.
And we teach them and we give them opportunities to grow up here too. So I think understanding that big picture and what it means to win, what it feels like to win, it just every day I get excited when I wake up.
Okay, so let's talk about that competitive spirit.
Yeah.
So you've always been like this, as you say. I'm curious, like, was that self-motivated or?
100%.
And okay, follow-up question. This
Yeah.
is interesting because I tried to compare that with myself, and like I wasn't like that when I was young. Was that spirit driven by the goal of like competing against other people, or competing versus you, or both?
Compete. I like to beat people.
Okay.
For sure.
Love it.
There's no doubt. Let's be real.
Yeah.
You know, I also recognize that there are people that are better than me.
Yeah.
And you know, in life, surrounding yourself with people who can make you better was probably one of the best lessons my dad ever taught me. And I think there's a saying like that: surround yourself with people you want to be like, and you'll pick up a little bit of that. And so I definitely have done that my whole life. You know, I see people that inspire me.
Yeah.
And just people that have taken the time to teach me and see the good in me.
Yeah.
You know, I want to not only give that back, but I also want to honor the energy that they've given me.
It's funny that you talk about people who inspire you. Besides your dad, do you have any role models that shape, you know, the way you thought and your attitude in you know, in your younger years?
You know, in my younger years, it was my coaches. And at the time, and this is kind of an interesting dichotomy, like different way of thinking about things too, because some of the best leadership lessons that I've learned is from people who didn't do a good job of leading me.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like I'd finish a practice and I'd have given my all, and you know, there's tears out of my eyes and maybe some bruises on my body, and you don't get the atta girl, you don't get the God, you did good today, Erin. And so some of the underlying parts of me that I give to not only my athletes but to my clients and to my employees and to the people who are my good friends, you know, I say thank you a lot. I give a lot of people pats on the back because there were times when I didn't get pats on the back, and I think people like that. I think we as human beings like that. So
I agree.
So I think sometimes you can learn to be a good leader from people who necessarily weren't great leaders for you.
Yeah, I know, and I couldn't agree more. There's so many. I couldn't agree more. It's funny. There's a quote that I was just thinking. I'm a big fan of Tim Ferriss. Lately, I was not until he started putting out content that I thought was more relevant for what I was looking for. And there's a quote that he likes to use. It goes something like this: "You are the average person of the people that you surround with." So it kind of goes back to surround yourself with the right people. Okay, so you're playing basketball. I assume in school, and then when you are about to finish school, and correct me if I'm wrong, you get a scholarship to come to Colorado. How did that transition?
The recruiting process starts early, and there's so many more rules now than when I was being recruited, but it starts early. You start getting an idea that you're pretty good when you're a sophomore, and the coaches start sending you letters, and that's really exciting when the University of Colorado or UNLV or University of Nebraska or Oregon, all these letters start coming, and you're a 10th grader, and you're like, this is awesome, this is fun. And then you start realizing that you're good enough. You're gonna get a scholarship offer. And so I had 5 different visits my junior year of high school to figure out where you're gonna go.
Okay.
And I chose the University of Oregon, the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, the University of Utah, Colorado, and Nebraska. And I knew that I wanted to choose a school. I'm a female basketball player. I'm not going to go to the NBA.
Yeah.
I knew I would have the opportunity to play pro basketball in Europe. The WNBA hadn't started yet. So that was kind of part of the vision was get a full ride to a Division I university, play great, hopefully be an All-American someday. Didn't quite get there, but it was a great college experience here in Boulder at the University of Colorado. And the reason I ultimately chose the University of Colorado, in the day, what is now the Big 12 was the Big 8.
Okay.
I was going to play in a great conference. I was going to be really, truly challenged as a basketball player. I wouldn't be the best person on the team. I could have chosen to go to a couple of different universities where I would come in and be a star and start right away, and I didn't choose that.
The struggle.
Because I just wanted the struggle, right? And so, through my experience at the University of Colorado, I had a good, solid career. It kind of ended my career with the Canadian national team, which makes me sad. If I could rewrite one chapter in my life, that would be the chapter. And I think what happened for me there was a coaching change and the timing for me. Yeah. We had a coach that really loved the kids from the West Coast and wanted us all to come to the United States so we could play against the best. And when I was a sophomore in college, that coach changed, and the coach from the University of Toronto, and she had a different philosophy, which was everyone should stay in Canada.
Oh, no.
And we got a little blacklisted, the kids that were down in the U.S. So it's okay. It just kind of accelerated my leap into coaching college basketball, because that was my dream, was to be a head coach in the NCAA. And
right.
Another one that I wouldn't rewrite that chapter, but it didn't happen.
Oh, because it was I've read it was a rough being a coach and a recruiter.
Yeah.
Took a toll on your health, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, it's not a glamorous life. It's a lot of travel, not only to look at kids and figure out who you want to recruit, but you also have to go look at other teams and scout. And so I drove a lot. Women's basketball, they weren't flying us private. There was no NetJet deal. And I have a big work ethic. So I just kept going and going and going. And so I had some health concerns, and it came back to Boulder and started working at Rally Sport. And, and I have always loved Boulder. So made it harder to leave.
Oh, yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
What made you decide to just basically, did you just quit coaching and decided to start? I don't know if a new career. I would say a new career as a personal trainer. I assume but it's kind of different, right?
Yeah. The biggest thing is coaching is coaching. Leadership is leadership. I ultimately have ended up coaching people who want to be the best version of themselves through strength and conditioning. Yeah. And it doesn't involve a lot of travel. Okay. I've definitely done some consulting. I've done some traveling, but mostly from the business perspective of health and fitness. But I think just the people that I work with appreciate me a little bit more, than the kids in college. And it's one of those things where you kind of work for them, and to be totally honest, the intensity that I provided at the age of 22 and 23 was maybe a little bit beyond my years. And so being so young, but being pretty intense, didn't play well with a lot of the coaching staffs that were considering bringing me on. So being strong personality can be a blessing and a curse.
Yeah. So okay. So you started working for Rally first as a coach.
Yeah, I actually started. I mean, let's look at the big picture of my career development, because there's no clear path for anyone in this business.
Mm-hmm.
I started folding towels. So I was working at the front desk folding towels because it was a temporary job for me. I was planning fully to go back into coaching. So I was fine working and taking a job, and then I went into sales, membership sales, because I wanted to help bring people into our community, because I really believed in it. I thought we were doing good stuff, and made it easy.
Before you move forward, because this is interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, you said you started working here folding towels.
Yeah.
Like somebody who's been a coach, well known in I mean, and I asked this because a similar thing kind of happened with me. Like I used to work for big companies. I used to manage brands, and so switching from that to this new entrepreneurial path, and it was hard. Like sometimes, like even I was just telling you, I work part-time at the bull running company. When I first started working for it, I was like, okay.
It's humbling, isn't it?
But then you kind of evolve in the sense that you start embracing it. Like now I feel so happy, and, I don't think about, the things I used to do anymore, because I know that this for me is part of the path of what I'm supposed to do. And I'm so happy. I mean,
Listen to that though. You're happy.
Right.
Yeah.
And
that's freaking brilliant.
Yeah. And because that you're helping, people and help improving people's lives. It's aligned with what I want to do. So it's still temporary, but I thought it was interesting. I was just curious about what your thought was when you decided to take that first job. Were you always this positive, thinking, okay, this is great, or were you like, okay?
Well, we all got to work, right? I'm not born of money, so. No, you're going to make the best of every situation you have. And even the kids that I have now that come in and fold towels, I hire them every single day or every other day. And I think sometimes they just want to put on their resume, that I worked at the front desk. And I go, well, did you just work at the front desk? Or did you become someone who is learning to anticipate the needs of your customer? Right. And are you learning to create community?
Right.
You're folding towels.
I love that.
But let's look at what you're really doing, and let's make that part of your resume. So, we have all different layers. I mean, I have almost 200 employees here at Rally, and each one of them has a different desired outcome from their time that they spend with us, and I just want it to be great time and time well spent, not wasted time. I know I haven't wasted much time in my life.
That's awesome. I mean, it's interesting that you say, because you are, honestly, you're like caring about, they want to be sure that they get the best experience while working here, and not just use that experience to put it,
it's not about the 10 or 12 bucks an hour, maybe 15 someday. I think they're marching on that right now in Las Vegas or somewhere.
Well, we could talk about a lot of things, but I want to talk more about your journey in Rally. I have this question I want to ask you. So, because I read this in an article, and you tell me if it's right or wrong. So basically, there was the previous owner, I think there was, okay, I'm spacing out here. I think there was an opportunity to change the business model of how the Rally makes money. And so, which is basically, correct me if I'm wrong, low base salary, and then I guess focus on commission, kind of. Was that something that was your idea, or was that something that the previous owner thought of, and he decided to basically there was a job opening that nobody wanted to take?
That's exactly right. You've done your homework, my brother.
Huh?
So I think that the biggest thing that I saw in the fitness business, and I still do consulting about this, because so many people see it, in my opinion, incorrectly.
Okay.
If you want a job as a fitness director at a really great fitness facility like Equinox or Lifetime or somewhere like that, you're going to probably have a salary between $50,000 and $75,000 a year,
Okay.
which doesn't sound bad.
Yeah.
The problem for me with that is I don't like ceilings.
Yeah.
If I'm willing to work hard,
Right.
I want to be able to realize more of an upside.
Yep.
And the job at Rally Sport, I knew, we had to look at all of our salaries, and that's management.
Okay.
101, looking at the bottom line. You're going to look at your salaried people and what are they really producing for you.
Uh-huh.
So our fitness director had a salary of about $40K, which
Okay.
is a little bit low, but for the time it was about right. And he would just work out. And he would say thank you to the staff, but he really wasn't developing staff,
Yeah.
and he really wasn't building the personal training department, and he really wasn't doing much. And I proposed that he be
Okay.
held accountable.
Boom.
Yeah,
Love it.
let's see some growth.
Yeah.
And what's it going to take to build out our fitness services income stream. So he failed miserably because you can't just hand somebody a staff shirt and give them a name tag and say, now go build
Yeah.
$100,000 to $200,000 a year of income.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work.
Right.
And so I proposed that we pay the fitness director 100% of their personal training. So they were going to get every dime that
Okay.
they did themselves, and that they get a salary. And I kind of remember it being somewhere around $12,000,
Okay.
$1,000 a month.
Okay.
They were going to get some money, but not much. But then the upside was going to be that they would get 20% of net revenue
Okay.
that they built.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Well, we interviewed 3 what we thought were good candidates, and when I offered that to them, none of them wanted it. Because when you really think about it, $12,000 is horrible.
Yeah.
But 100% of your personal training,
Yeah.
that's ridiculous. That's
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
And plus, you're going to get 20% of net.
Yeah. Right.
This is a big club. Like,
Yeah.
this is a 40,000 square foot club.
Yeah.
And at the time, I think we had 6 trainers.
Yeah.
Nobody would take the job. I was the assistant general manager at the time, and I looked at my owner and my boss, who was the GM, and I said, look, I'll take it. Give me 4 years, and
Okay.
let's see what we can do. Well, I took the department from $300,000 of gross revenue to $1.5 million.
How do you think of that model? How do you think of
Well,
that model?
because I was in the trenches, like we were talking about early. I saw that each trainer could probably handle 20 to 25 members. That's it. So if you have 4 trainers, you were only accessing 100 people, and that's on a good day. So if you start looking at, we have 5,000 members,
That's amazing.
and most clubs have even more than we do. I mean, that's small for us. And so the opportunity is huge. It was like shooting fish in a barrel, literally.
Yeah.
So all I had to do was I had to teach. I manage on 3 key principles: people, product, process. And I
Okay.
didn't make that up. Lots of smart people use that
Yep.
process. But good people, well put together, passionate, energetic, integral,
Yeah.
authentic.
Of course.
Product, super smart fitness people.
Yep.
And strength and conditioning people, high education levels. The product is strong. And then process, that's where I excel a little bit in teaching highly trained, skilled fitness people how to be good business people and how to live good lives and how to set goals. Like, none of these guys come to you and, you know, they're getting their paycheck and they're going to go buy beer. And I'm like, no, you need to get your paycheck, and
Right.
you need
What are
to
your
have a
priorities?
401k, and you need to have health care, and you need to think that someday you might want to get married and you might want to have children, and
Yep.
you know, both males and females. And
Yep.
so we started getting this mature group of trainers, and I'm proud to say that now, you know, I'm 27 years into being at Rally Sport, and the average tenure of one of my trainers is 14 years, and
Yeah,
that's
it's
just
incredible.
unheard of. It's industry average is less than 2 years.
Yeah.
So super proud of that. I mean, I have wise fitness professionals working alongside of me every single day. And I say they're wise because it takes time to be wise. You know, you can be smart,
Yeah.
but to be wise takes time. And so
You develop
when
them.
somebody comes here and they invest in working with one of my coaches, they're truly getting a unique product, because that young man or that young lady working with you, I mean, I'm quite frankly older than most of my clients now. I mean, I definitely have some people that are older than me, but there's wisdom and there's experience, and that's so valuable.
So I'm thinking about this sense of ownership that you had, this proactive attitude to come up with this idea. And did you know by that time that you were going to own? Because you know what I'm thinking?
Yeah.
When I was, working for big companies, I did my job and I was good at it, wasn't great.
Yep.
So in that spirit, it's interesting because you know me, and like I'm pretty passionate about the things that I believe in, and I never felt that I could use that passion to be the best brand manager that I could be for XYZ company.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do my job, I'm gonna be good at it, and 5:30 in the afternoon, I'm done. So I would never be, as proactive as like you were, like, to think about these kind of opportunities or coaching other people. So, but now that I'm going on this process of building my own business,
yep,
it's completely different. Like I work 18 hours a day and it doesn't feel, you're physically tired. Feel, you know what I'm saying? The passion is there. It's just like this idea that it's completely different. So that's what I guess what I'm trying to say. I don't, if I would have been in your position back then, I don't think I would have came up with something like that.
Well, you never know. That's just it. You never know. I never set out to own Rally Sport. I never thought that this company would come up for sale because it's a great company.
Yeah.
And I never thought it would happen. And so it wasn't my motivator. Funny, after years of therapy, I know that my key motivator is fear. And it's fear of failure. It's fear of not excelling. It's fear of not winning. And sometimes that can be really a healthy motivator. And there's been times in my life where it has not served me well. But, looking back, I wouldn't change a thing. But I think each of us needs to identify what drives us.
Well, that's what I was going to say, self-awareness.
Yeah. And it's big because when you are physically exhausted and you need to recover, at this stage, it's easy for me to say, you need to recover. Yeah. Take some time and rest and nurture that parasympathetic nervous system because you've been in fight or flight all day. Yeah. And I can say that, I've definitely overworked. That's what happened when my coaching career. I overdid it, and it wasn't productive. I wouldn't say it was the most successful coaching career because I kept trying and trying and trying.
Yeah.
And it didn't help.
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel that right now I'm putting a lot of hours and there's two schools of thought, right? Like one is work hard, but then I don't know. I was listening to this podcast the other day where Tim Ferriss interviews Ariana Huffington from the Huffington Post.
Right.
And one of her big things is you have to sleep at least 8-10 hours a day. And I'm like, oh, that sounds really, really nice. I wish I could do that. And there she is, super successful. But again,
she's a Huffington. Come on.
What I was going to say, when you start thinking about those things, at least when that happens to me, I stop myself and I say, okay, one, patience. Okay. You're going to get there, but don't compare yourself with others.
Right.
And that's something that can be a little difficult.
Well, especially because you're paving a new road. It's not like there's a road right in front of you, Hugo, that's saying, come this way and keep working hard. You're literally plowing through the dirt, and there's no path. This is such an unprecedented time in technology and access. Look at us. We're on this podcast. People are going to hear it all over the world. That blows my mind.
Yeah. You're right. Like the fact that all these tools that we have available now are making it much easier to create something, build your own future. Because that's, it's funny. I always, when I talk about with my wife or friends about me, my path coming from Peru, I thought I knew what I was supposed to do in my life, which was come to the U.S., get your MBA, and then I'm going to be the CEO of one of these three companies. I remember clearly, Starbucks or Nike or Nestle.
I love them all.
And for some reason, this is funny, like even very, very, very tactical. I want to live in New York. Don't ask me why, which Starbucks is in Seattle. Anyway, I didn't know what I was doing. But and that's what I started working for Nestle. That was my first job post-MBA. And so it was a great experience, but gosh, I don't know where I was going with this, but I guess this idea of
hard work,
and also doing the things that you thought you were supposed to do, or what, because all of your people from your own generation are doing that. You think that you're supposed to work for a big company, or that you're supposed to have three kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, you're making your own happy. I mean, I think where we started this conversation is probably the biggest challenge that I've given people lately, just whether it's in a podcast or just a chat in front of people, is to figure out the three things that make you happy.
Yeah.
And that's a good exercise.
Right.
On days when things are challenging or you feel a little bit behind, if you can find happy, you can get going again.
That's true. And that's why I can agree more, because in my experience, I mean, I'm sure the same thing happens with you with rallies. Like, you love what you do. Like,
yeah, and Starbucks makes me happy. So sometimes I'm having a hard time here.
Yeah.
And I can take a 12-minute break.
Yeah.
Go get myself a little flat white.
Yeah.
And I'm totally ready to go.
Oh yeah,
it's just having that little cup.
It's the little things.
It's the little things.
Okay, so just couple of random questions.
Yeah.
So what do you usually do when you are when you get overwhelmed and you get unfocused? How do you deal with that? Like, do you have any routine or? Yeah.
Well, I definitely get unfocused. Just lately, like in the last few months, I've really been focusing on doing a 3 to 5 minute meditation.
Oh,
and I've
sweet.
used the apps. I've subscribed to Headspace.
Mm-hmm.
I like that guy's voice a lot.
Yeah.
Evidently, he's been on the Ellen DeGeneres show, so he's a guy. He's
Okay.
a thing.
Okay.
So I haven't expected too much out of myself, but I have come up with a nice routine where when I wake up and I get my cup of coffee,
Yeah.
and then I sit and do the 3 to 5 minute, depending on what I think I have the tolerance for that time. But I haven't gone beyond 5 minutes. So I start my day with a 3 to 5 minute guided meditation, and then after my last client of the day, and the way that I distribute my time is I try to work with my clients before noon, so
Okay.
that I manage the business and do other things and get out in the community in the afternoon. I try and do another guided meditation right after my last client, and
Okay.
that kind of helps me reset, and that has been working really well. Before, I would just rush off to my next thing,
of course.
and I think I still could do a pretty good job, but I think I'm doing better now.
What do you usually think of or focus on during that meditation, or do you just focus on breathing?
Breathing.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you just don't think of anything, because what I do is and I don't know if it works or doesn't, but like I visualize. So I don't necessarily try to like focus on my breathing and things like that, but I think about, okay, this is how my day is gonna be, and I think hard and like, but like.
Have you ever heard the words monkey mind?
No.
I have monkey mind.
Yeah.
I'm like,
oh yeah,
all over the place
Yeah,
with
of
my
course,
brain,
of
and
course.
so when I, and again, it served me well a lot
Yeah.
in my life. But now I think the whole concept of less monkey mind is a really good idea. So I think that just focusing on the breathing, and the nice thing about the guidedness of the meditation, and they say, okay, now don't worry if your mind goes somewhere else.
I know, right?
Just bring it back to the breath. And I'm
Right.
like, great idea. Okay, back to the breath.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I'm all over the place.
Yeah, I heard that before. That I've heard that people should not feel bad for getting distracted when meditating, because it's almost impossible to just be in Zen mode all the time. Since we have a few more minutes, I have so many questions, but I just want to go back to the time where there's this opportunity to buy rallies. So can you walk, and you don't have,
I've got a company line on that one that's pretty, I'm not worried about sharing. I mean, the bottom line is this was not a small deal.
Yep. It was
the
not.
company and the land was going to potentially be sold to a real estate developer.
Wow. Okay.
So somebody wasn't going to buy Rally Sport and keep it going. So to me, I had no option, and we talk about how you live your life. I never thought I would get a chance to buy the company.
Right.
But at the same time, because I am motivated by fear, I have been, and I also am hardworking and had the opportunity to earn good money. I was a very good saver of my money. And so I was in a position to come strongly to the table and match the offer.
Yeah.
And the current owner was wonderfully into that idea.
Okay.
It was just, he didn't know if I could do it. And
Yeah.
so in 3 weeks, I basically raised almost $6 million. and it goes to the testament of the business being in a very healthy position. This was not, these were definitely people that I knew well.
Yeah.
People who had confidence in me.
Yeah.
People who knew the community and company.
Right.
But also it's a very strong real estate play.
Yeah.
Real estate in Boulder, Colorado is very expensive.
Oh my God, tell me
And
about it.
and we own 2 acres of it.
Yeah, that's
and
amazing.
have a wonderful service-oriented business that sits on it. So I feel so blessed because the people who are my business partners now have taught me a ton. Like you talk about going to get your MBA. I never got an MBA. I studied science and exercise and that kind of stuff. And so I have learned so much about structure of business and balance sheets and spending and not spending and just management and how it relates to the bottom line and answering to people who have trusted you enough to give you a lot of money. So
Of course.
I think there were times when I was playing basketball that I can recall that I would be motivated because I'm a pleaser. I wanted my coach to be proud of me, and I wanted my coach to give me that atta girl that we kind of talked about. And now I have a group of people that I crave their approval.
Yeah.
And I want them to know that I'm doing my best, and I want them to tell me when I'm doing well.
Yeah.
And I think I'm old enough now that they are not afraid to tell me when they think I'm not doing well, and that we need to do some things better. And that's exciting for me. And I love that kind of relationship. So that's the relationship that I have now as the general manager and owner, operator, operating, managing partner of the company. And it's cool because the best opportunity for us to be successful is to continue to grow our fitness services and the quality of outcome that we're giving to our clients. We're basically a 40,000 square foot personal training gym. Yeah. We're definitely can say that we do well for people who just want to have a membership and come here to do classes. But where we really excel and where we really thrive is with the people that appreciate our wisdom, our experience, the education that we bring, and how we're going to guide them through the next 25 or 30 years of their lives to be the best they can be.
And you have used those principles of being the best that you can be by being a competitive triathlete. So let's talk about a few last minutes on your journey to going to World Championships. How did your transition into triathlon start? I'm gonna say, if I have to guess, it's gonna be like you start working with these amazing triathletes as your personal coach, and you're like, I wonder what.
I think I started loving the sport first.
Okay.
I didn't set out to do what I do. I just wanted to be healthy, and I actually was a runner because I couldn't afford a good bike. So how many triathletes can, that you finish a race and you're like, well, if I had a better bike, I'd have done better, you know? So I get it. And now I have a bike that I am not worthy of. Beautiful. And I just keep working better, more and more to earn the right to ride such a beautiful bike. And
we Trek buddies, huh?
Yeah, we love our Trek speed concept, but it's a brilliant sport because for me, I want to do well. I want to see how I measure up against people in my age group, and qualifying for the World Championships was an amazing experience. One I hope to duplicate again this year.
Oh, I was gonna ask you, are you gonna? Yes.
Yeah. I'm gonna
Where's
go.
That? South Africa?
Well, I'm not going to South Africa. I love South Africans. I have a lot of clients from South Africa. But my desire for travel is leading me to 2019, Nice. So I want to qualify this year at Whistler, 70.3. So hopefully you'll see me.
When is it?
It's July 30th. So I'm not quite in the window yet, but the training is going really, really well. I have a new coach that I'm excited about. Awesome. Carson Christian is his name, and he gets me. I like data. I like data. I like wattage on the bike. I like speed.
Nice.
Understanding lactate threshold. I understand my body.
Yeah.
And I'm thriving under his leadership. So I'm
I love
super
it.
stoked about that. Yeah.
I love it. Well, this has been an amazing conversation.
Thanks, Hugo.
Yeah, I know I could ask you so many more questions. So I'm probably gonna do a part 2 in the future.
Super fun.
Thank you for your time, Erin. Always a pleasure catching up with you. And for our listeners, you can follow Erin on Instagram at ECFitBoulder. And it's at ECFitBoulder, which is her... How would you describe ECFit Boulder?
ECFit Boulder is a method of training for endurance athletes. The title of my first book, which I haven't written yet, is that endurance athletes don't need more exercise. And I think it's a really big problem that endurance athletes do too much. And then they start building up too much cortisol, and it's just not good. So we have to really make sure that we give just the right amount of stuff in the gym. The second book that I'm going to write someday maybe is called How Strong is Strong Enough. And I think that sometimes we think, if I lift a little more weight, that I'm going to get faster on the bike. And that's not really that true. So I also wanted to just plug, if you don't mind.
Of course.
I have an app. The ECFit Boulder app. It's available on the App Store.
Yeah.
And I have lots of free content on that. There's definitely programs available through the ECFit Boulder website.
Yeah, we'll put the links.
Yeah,
we'll put the links. Yeah, of course.
But it's just given me the opportunity to talk to people all over the planet, which you and I were talking. It's just kind of mind-blowing to be able to help people.
We'll put the links. I mean, the videos are awesome. And...
Thanks.
You're just an amazing coach. So I'm a big fan. Thanks again, Erin.
Thanks, Hugo.
Okay.
Cheers,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.